Guys, Kenny Martin here. We're going to be talking today about the greatest decade in music ever, which is the 1970s. I'm going to argue my case that pretty much anything recorded after 1979 isn't even really worth listening to. In fact, I'll be quite honest with you, if I never heard any music recorded after 1979, I would be quite happy. Everything recorded prior to 1979, the decades before that, where all the innovation and creativity happened, it was just astonishing. But it was the 1970s that changed the world. It changed the world of music forever. Literally every great classic album, with a few exceptions. I'm no stupid enough to think that there wasn't amazing stuff recorded after that. I've got lots of it in my collection. But I just want to argue the case that the 1970s was such an unbelievable decade. You know, when you think before that, we had the rock and roll in the 50s, the advent of the Beatles, the Stones, and the advent of the kind of British blues explosion, you know, with Cream and Eric Clapton, and which was amazing. And then it all culminated with the whole psychedelic thing with Woodstock and Peace and Love at the end of the 1960s. And then once we got into the 1970s, everything that's great about music happened. The best albums in almost every genre actually happened in the 1970s. And even, there was a load of crap in the charts, I'm going to admit that, right? There was a lot of, Grandad and I Beg Your Pardon, I Never Promised You a Rose Garden and all that kind of stuff. There was some rubbish in there, but there was also some unbelievable tracks in all genres of pop music. Going to the glam rock stuff, to the singer-songwriter stuff, to the Queen epic stuff, to the loads and loads and loads of incredible songs that quite simply wouldn't be recorded today, because the listener of today doesn't have the patience to listen to a 30-second or minute intro to a song. It's got to be 3 seconds because of bloody TikTok and all that crap, you know? There may be a swear box involved in this today, I'll be quite honest with you. It's like a virtual swear box, ding, right, okay. But if you think about it, when the 70s started, and we look at the charts, I can compare the charts from the 1970s, literally any year in the 1970s, and I can compare it with its comparative year this year, like so 50 years on, whatever. And I know pretty much, and a lot of people will know the songs in the charts previously in the 70s, because they're still being played, they're still relevant, they're still being bandied out on Radio 2 and all that kind of stuff. So people know these songs. When you look at the charts today, it's like inane, absolute bloody nonsense. It's done to a formula. It's like, I don't know even who is interested to listen to this. It's not making you excited, or it's not challenging you, or you're not going, wow, that's amazing, listen to that. It's just the same old thing over and over and over again. When I think back to the 70s, man, right, me and my mates, right, so I worked really hard. I started to work when I was 14. I was working in a hotel, and the only reason I worked in that hotel, right, was to gather enough money at the end of the week when I got my wages on a Friday to drive or to get the bus up to Edinburgh, right, to go to Hot Licks Records or Bruce's Records and buy my stuff, right. And I was buying a really eclectic range of music. I had a very, very wide choice of music that I loved. And we used to get an album, so in the past we used to have to wait. We knew that Deep Purple was releasing a new album on a day, and we would go up and we would buy that album on the day, and me and my mates would go into our bedroom and we would play side after side after side after side until it was worn out almost. And we listened to the whole album, and we discussed the album, and we looked at the album cover, and we looked at the pictures, and we looked at who produced it and the stories behind it. And it was so fucking, it was so amazing, right? When we did that, we just loved music. And I don't think kids now love music in the way that we love music. I'm really sorry. I'm so happy to have been born in 1959 and for the end of the 60s and the 70s to be my time for music, because it's when it all came out, man, right? So let's look at the 70s. Let's look at what happened in the 70s. Let's look at all the genres in the 70s. Great pop music. We had the glam rock era, which was incredible. You know, Mark Bolan and David Bowie and all that kind of stuff, right? It was just fabulous, fabulous pop music. Some of the greatest pop music ever made, right? Some amazing songwritery stuff. So if you think of the albums that were released in the 1970s, which have been so inspirational to people nowadays, singer-songwriters nowadays, we're talking people like Carole King, we're talking people like James Taylor, we're talking about Elton John, Nick Drake, John Martin, just phenomenal songwriters, phenomenal albums from the 70s that we're still listening to because they are so fucking, they are so good. There's no point listening to anything after that. Why would you listen to something that's substandard after 1979 when you can listen to stuff, and there's loads of it, from the 1970s, which will just blow your mind. We then had the advent of the heavy rock guys. And these heavy rock guys, we're talking the giants of music. We're talking the Deep Purples. We're talking the Led Zeppelins. We're talking the Black Sabbaths. We're talking really, really big rock names. We're talking about incredible debut albums by Montrose. The first Montrose album is a slice of rock and roll that will kill anything that's been recorded after the 70s. It's absolutely fantastic. The greatest live album, rock live album for me, is Deep Purple Made in Japan. But you know what? I'm quite happy to go, yeah, Humble Pie live was incredible. The Who live at Leeds. It's just something. The Allman Brothers live at Fillmore East. Absolutely astonishing live albums. Really innovative stuff. And it also allowed, I think the 70s allowed the musicians to stretch themselves. So when they went to the record label and say, yeah, we would like to do a 15-minute track which has got 6 minutes of freeform guitar and like just mind blowing, it wouldn't happen now. It wouldn't happen. So when you listen to Chicago Transit Authority, the first album by Chicago, they were shite after a wee while. Once they started to go all middle of the road and crap, would you hear now? It's just rubbish, right? But the first album, the Chicago Transit Authority, if you've not heard it, right, it's 1969. It is astonishingly amazing. Amazing guitar playing, amazing singing, amazing songs, horn sections, jazz, rock, fusion. Just a fantastic album. But they couldn't do it. There was a track on that called Freeform Guitar, and it literally is 8 minutes of like sounding like a jet airliner coming in. It's really quite amazing, but it would not be recorded nowadays, I can tell you that. So for rock, right, without a doubt, the best decade. Okay. We've then got the prog stuff. All the prog stuff, get the greatest prog albums ever made. In fact, one of the greatest albums ever made in the history of the world. Dark Side of the Moon, of course, 1970s. The rest of the Floyd stuff, 1970s. You look at the Genesis, you look at the Gentle Giant, you look at Yes, Close to the Edge and Fragile. Absolutely unbelievable albums, right? Let's go on to the jazz rock fusion. Oh my God, Billy Cobham, right? Billy Cobham's Spectrum album, unbelievable good album, right? Jeff Beck, incredible with Wired and Blow by Blow. The Mahavishnu Orchestra, John McLaughlin, unbelievable prog rock, really innovative and creative and musically just totally out there, quite incredible. Soul music. There's been nothing like it. The Motown explosion, the Stevie Wonders, the Donny Hathaways, the music that Curtis Mayfield, Isaac Hayes, all that 70s stuff. Nothing's touched it since. Really, nothing's touched it since. Just mind-blowing music. What else have we got? Classical. Some of the best recordings of classical music, Alfred Brendel doing Schubert. Absolutely incredible. I think Karajan did his did his Beethoven symphonies, the 9-box set. Astonishing, you know, still regarded as one of the greatest recordings ever. So that was incredible stuff. What else have we got there? Reggae. Jesus, the reggae stuff was absolutely amazing. All the best reggae and the dub and the, you know, Lee Scratch Perry and the Gladiators and Culture. I saw Culture twice in Edinburgh. They were fantastic. The Two Sons Clash is still one of the greatest albums. Bob Marley, of course, brought reggae to the masses, and people got right into reggae. It was fantastic. So we had that side. Some of the greatest country and western albums. Now, I'm not a country fan, right? I'm not a traditional country fan. I love progressive country. I love, you know, the Byrds and the Nitty Gritty Dirt Band and Graham Parson. We have, what's it called? Grievous Angel with Emmylou Harris. Oh my God, just fabulous country music. And then the punk. Then the punk came and it blew all the cobwebs off her thing. And like, I was a big punk fan. I absolutely fucking loved it, right? It was just a breath of fresh air, right? And we got so excited about this whole punk thing. You know, going to the gigs, buying the records. It was raw, it was visceral, it was an incredible time. And then from that came some really quite incredible bands like Television from America, Tom Verlaine's band, and really inventive bands who kind of cling on to the coattails a little bit of punk music. And then we came out with the kind of new wavy stuff at the end, and then there was a few things into the 1980s. But on the whole, oh my God, pop songs, unbelievable, still being played today. Hard rock, the best. You're never going to get anything like it. All the stuff that came after that, I'm going to say it. The Def Leppards, even the Foo Fighters, that after the grunge thing, they were just, you know, Saxon, all that kind of stuff. Nothing, absolutely nothing in my mind compared to the great stuff that was happening back in the 70s. We had our punk, we had our reggae, we had our singer-songwriter stuff, we had the jazz feud. Miles Davis, Bitches Blue, 1970s electric period for the jazz, unbelievable. So jazz, rock, blues, we never even talked blues. Stevie Ray Vaughan, you know, Clapton, the great blues albums came out in the 70s. I think the greatest blues album ever, which is B.B. King Live at the Regal, I'm sure that was 1970s. And if you've never heard that, it's one of the most brilliantly mixed albums that you'll ever hear in your life, Live at the Regal. The recording engineers did some mics in the crowd, and if you sit and just shut your eyes and listen to this, you think you're in the crowd. It's brilliantly recorded. So, oh my God, so what we got? There we go. We got reggae, we got punk, we got singer-songwriter, we got rock and roll, we got prog, we got blues, we got jazz. We got every fucking thing that is amazing about music happened in the 1970s and was better than it happened at any other time. Unbelievable stuff. Don't get me wrong, I'm going back, well, this is back the way, not forward the way, going back to 1959 with A Kind of Blue. Yeah, probably one of the greatest jazz albums ever. But of course, Miles was still producing amazing music, and what came from that came into Bitches Brew and all the rest of it in the 1970s. I reckon anything after that, it just didn't happen. It just didn't happen. I hate music now. I think music's been spoiled. It's been spoiled by fucking it's been spoiled by streaming, right? It's been spoiled by the loss of the album. The fact that we used to sit down and listen to an entire album from start to finish, right? Blew our minds. Now we go on and we go, we'll just play a track. What's the point? It must be so difficult being a band now, right? And there's so many bands, there's so many great musicians, but it all sounds the fucking same to me. It all sounds just this homogenized crap. So yeah, listen guys, I'm quite happy just to sit and listen to 70s music. Don't get me wrong, I'm a huge Nick Cave fan, I'm a huge fan of some, you know, later on music, but 70s for me. Kraftwerk, 1970s, one of the most influential bands in the bloody world. they blew the music world apart. You know, with their synthesizer music, it sort of led on to all the dance music from now. So listen, I'm getting actually really tired just speaking here because I'm getting hyperventilated and excited. But please get into the 70s. Go back and listen to some of this music. You know, if you've got kids and they're listening to shit, right, play them some stuff for the 70s. Blow their mind, right? It's fantastic. And so what I'm going to do right from now on is I'm going to feature some of my favourite stuff for the 70s. We're going to discuss the album. And I've got some absolute peaches for you, stuff that you'll never have heard, albums that were off the radar but are some of the greatest albums you've ever heard, and I'm going to bring a few more videos out talking about that. Guys, if you want to put any comments in, tell me what you think. Tell me if I'm talking crap, or tell me if you think I'm right. Right, the 1970s were the best. All right, I'm going to head off now before I swear anymore, and it's going to cost me any more money. It's been lovely to speak to you. I've enjoyed my rant this morning, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye, guys.